You've tuned into the Rev Up podcast, broadcasting straight from Ducati Sanford in sunny central Florida. We're not just talking motorcycles, we're diving deep into the brilliant minds of business leaders, entrepreneurial pioneers, speed demons on the track, influential game changers, and downright rad people crushing this game called life. Let's rev up.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Rev Up podcast. We're super excited to be here. I'm Nate. You know, Ducati Dave, he's here.
Yes.
The man, the myth, the legend. So we are here to do this podcast, and we're just trying something new. And kind of the purpose behind it is the fact that we just come in contact with amazing customers, people, like
family,
on a family, on a day-to-day basis in the dealership. And we wanted to get some of these individuals on the podcast. So this first podcast is kind of our origin story, just to kind of give you guys an introduction to me and Ducati Dave. But we are going to have a lot of guests on as we move forward and kind of work the bugs out. We just, you know, it's just amazing the people that we deal with day to day. That I wish some of these conversations were, recorded. So we were just joking around one day. We're like, we need to do a podcast with these guys.
Yes. And here we are.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I really dig it. I'm really happy and glad that you're one of the ones that are down to do what needs to be done and things that people haven't done in our industry yet. As an owner, you're coming in and you're saying, let's try new stuff. Let's do different things. I've been doing this for, I guess, 23 years now. How long have you been doing it?
Yeah, 21, 22.
So you're one of the most involved owners that I've ever dealt with, and one of the funnest. And you're not afraid to try new things. So that's where we're at right now. We're in this new world to us. So if we're nervous, if we're messing this up, we apologize. But we wanted to have fun and introduce you guys to our world and our family, because where we're at, we don't do transactions. We do, how do you say it? We build a family. So most dealerships, it's a transaction. People don't come back. Or if they do, but they don't do like what they do with us.
So let me get this straight. We're not going to talk about religion, politics, and flat earth.
Negative. Flat earth. No, negative. We're going to talk about the cool things.
Conspiracy theories.
Well, we could do a little bit on that, but it'd only end up back on motorcycles. So. No, what it's all about is, it's not even about us. This part of it is, but it's going to be about our family members, the people, like you said, that we come into contact with, their stories and how they got into motorcycles. And that's what we're doing today is you're going to tell your story. I'll give a little of my story, and then we'll tell what's going on and what we have planned, and hopefully you guys like it and tune in and help us get better.
So we're talking to musicians, artists,
racers,
business people,
owners,
entrepreneurs. It's just, there's so many facets of
the rainbow. Seriously.
It's really cool who we come in contact with. So we're going to bring some really special guests on, and we're excited. But man, here we are. Cool. We're doing it.
Yeah, I like it. So as we start this and kind of do our little origin story, you guys are going to learn a little bit about how we got into the industry and how things are right now. But my question to you is, where did you come up with the Rev Up thing? It's so funny. Everybody asks me.
So funny story. I was talking to Oscar, and you know how me and Oscar are into music and bands.
Just so you guys know, Oscar was and still is one of our family members, but he worked for us for almost a little over 2 years. He was one of my sales guys. It was just me and him.
Yeah. So me and Oscar like this band called Madball.
Yes.
And they're like this underground punk rock hardcore band. And he comes to me one day and he's like, hey man, Madball's coming to town. And this was right after COVID. So things were kind of still not shut down, but people weren't really going out to concerts as much. Yeah. But they're coming to town, and we're like, let's go. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So he convinces me to go, and I'm driving to the show. It's in this little no-name club in downtown Orlando. Just a total dive. And so I'm blasting the new record. I'm going to listen to some Madball, get hyped for the show.
Right.
And the song comes on, and it's called Rev Up. And the song is badass. And it has this cool sample in the beginning, and the guy's like, Rev Up. So
right.
I like that Rev Up thing kind of stuck in my head. And so I get to the show and meet up with Oscar, grab a beer, go into the venue to kind of catch the opening act.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
as I'm walking in, I'm not really paying attention, but I'm literally walking right through like the mosh pit.
Right in the pit?
Like right through the middle.
Oh my God.
And people really weren't going off.
Right.
Like they were kind of getting started. And I was like totally clueless, like had a beer in my hand walking through, and I get cold cocked, like
way.
knocked out. Like,
how do I not know this?
Oscar comes, picks me up, drags me to the back of the venue. You good, dude? You good? Beer's like all gone. And I have this like giant welt on my face. The next morning, I have a black eye. So I get back to the shop and everyone in the store is like,
that's right.
How did you get a black eye? And I'm like, well, me and Oscar went to this show.
You stay vague with it. You never really said
much. And they're
much.
like, what concert Nate, what type of concert would you go to that you would get a black eye? Like, dude, what are you into? And I'm like explaining everything. And they're like, there's just no way. Like, this is crazy. So that's when I said, you know what, we were trying to come up with a moniker or something to kind of use in our marketing and do on t-shirts, something fun. And I was like, let's do Rev Up. And Oscar knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And he
so
was like, yes, let's do it. So that's where the whole Rev Up thing came from. So
I knew, like you said, you were very vague about it. You didn't really say what happened. And you kind of held that till now, which is kind of cool because I knew you guys went to the concert. I knew something happened with your eye, but I never knew what actually happened. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah. And we're 23 now?
I got
24?
caught in the mosh, they call it.
You got caught in the mosh?
Yeah.
What hit you?
Guy's fist.
So straight up just...
Dude, I was like just totally casually walking through and just...
Did you tell him thanks after? Or?
No, I was like, out, dude. Like he had to like pick me up and like drag me to the back.
Oh, shit.
It was like, it was embarrassing, but at the same time, I was kind of like, you know what? It feels good to like take a dinger in the face once in a while just to know you're alive.
Right. Something, and that's true. That's why we ride motorcycles, right? Is to make sure we know we're alive.
Yeah, you have to do that.
You have to. I always joke around, but you never see a motorcycle in front of a therapist's office unless the therapist owns it. You know what I'm saying? So and that's awesome because it made you feel alive again. Most people be pissed, right? I got punched in the face. I just walked in the door, not paying attention. I got punched in the face, and the way you took it was like, I'm alive.
Let's go. Yeah. Maybe we can edit in the Rev Up songs.
Yeah.
So people know what we're talking about.
You know
what kind of music Nate's into.
Funny thing is, for Christmas, I got him a shirt from that band. From the band.
Madball?
Yeah. So I got him the shirt the same time I got you the skateboard from the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
Weird thing. He likes Garbage Pail Kids.
I'm a product of the 1980s,
yes,
and I collected Garbage Pail Kids. They're dear to my heart. So.
Yeah. So I got a question. How did you get into this? Like, how did you become? Now, quick funny thing is, we actually worked together at another dealership, which we'll talk about, for a very short time. So I knew him for maybe 6-7 months, and then you left.
Yeah,
right around there. But how did you get into the motorcycle industry, and how did you get to now being an owner?
Gotcha. Long story. I'll try to keep it tight, but basically I'm from northern Michigan, a rural town called Alpena.
UP,
and
right?
well, not quite the UP, right below. So I graduated high school and didn't want to be in the little town anymore and wanted to look for more opportunity in life. And I bounced around a little bit. I moved to Buffalo, New York for a short time. And then I went back home, and then I moved to Detroit, and I lived in Grand Rapids. So I was bouncing around, but I needed a job. I was a musician. I always played in bands.
Yeah.
And, I was a skateboarder, and I just, I didn't take life too seriously as far as a career goes. I was kind of a little loosey-goosey.
When I met you, you were that way. You were very like, whatever, man.
Yeah. So I got to the point where I needed some income. I needed money. A friend of mine actually started working at a local Harley Davidson dealership in Detroit called Motor City Harley.
Oh, yeah.
And he told me they were hiring, and I kind of blew it off at first, but then I seen the ad in the paper. Like the local paper, I seen that because I was looking for jobs. I'm like, man, there's that Harley dealer. I don't know nothing about motorcycles. I don't know nothing about this stuff. I can't imagine they'd hire me, but the ad looked cool. It was like a like a skeleton, like riding a chopper down the road. It was like, it was like one of those like classic, like 90s chopper ads.
Come here.
So I'm like, that looks like a pretty cool place to work. And I knew someone that had worked there. So I went in and did an application, and just so happened my buddy was there, and he said, let me introduce you to the manager. He introduced me to this lady named Anne, and she hired me on the spot with no experience whatsoever. I didn't know. I mean, I'd never even ridden a motorcycle before.
Right.
And she just obviously needed some help.
Right.
Well,
and you present yourself well, so it wasn't like you.
Well, at that time, I probably had pants hanging off my ass and some JNCOs hanging off my ass and probably a mohawk or something. But anyway, she hired me, and I got started right away, and I literally got my teeth kicked in.
So was it sales? You went into sales?
No, it was parts department.
Oh, okay.
So she hired me for parts.
Wow.
So in Detroit, there's some pretty like rough and tumble like motorcycle clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I'm talking, these guys would come in and they're looking for parts for their shovel head.
Right.
You know, these are chopper guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking the late 90s, like 90, 98, 99.
Right.
It was. So I literally got my teeth kicked in for like 6 months just trying to learn what motorcycles are,
what
Harleys, and at the same time dealing with these like the rough dudes, man. These guys did not mess around, but it was cool.
No patience, right?
Yeah, no patience.
They didn't give you any slack.
No, not at all. And it was like a good learning experience.
Yeah.
And I learned how to earn respect, and I learned how to like just work with sometimes difficult people, difficult individuals are sometimes hard to work with. So you got to have a lot of patience. You got to have a thick skin. So anyway, I worked in parts, worked my way through there into like shipping and receiving. And then I was like an accessory guy or chrome consultant. And then in Michigan, it's tough because like half the year it's really cold and
snowy.
It's like dark and dreary, and like it's not a fun place to be. So I through that position, I really started to connect with the technicians in the back. And those are my people. I love my techs. Like those are my guys. They're I love interacting with them.
Right.
And similar backgrounds and things like that. So I wanted to be a technician.
Did you really?
I really wanted to be a technician, and those guys were really pushing me, and they're like, you have to go to school. You have to go to MMI. That's kind of like the gateway into being a technician.
Into the industry of that.
So that kind of like stayed in my head, and I just kept thinking about it. And then it was just one of those days out where it was freaking cold as hell. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
I am going to move to Florida and go to MMI and become a technician.
What?
So I saved up whatever I could over the next 6 months, and I literally packed up all my stuff and I moved to Orlando.
How long did you work for the Harley dealership? Like total, you think?
Man, I was probably like 6 or 7 years. There was two different Harley dealers. Yeah. I was like there was two dealers that I worked at there. So I ended up in Orlando. I went to MMI. And I got going. I was probably there like 2-3 months.
What?
And it was like, I went to the night classes. I was in night school because I wanted to be able to work during the day.
Yeah.
And I went into all the local Harley dealers in Orlando, and none of them would hire me.
Oh, yeah.
I went into every single one of them, even the ones outside of town, like Leesburg. And like, I can't even remember all the Harley dealers at that time, but I went to every one of them and no one would give me a chance. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I have all this experience.
Right.
And
what were you trying to go? You were trying to go into service?
No,
or
I just wanted a parts position.
Really?
And to go to school. And so I could become a technician and work my way into the shop. I mean, I went into all these shops. They were not interested for whatever reason. I don't know how I presented myself at the time, but I just didn't get the job. So I ended up delivering pizzas and going to school.
All right.
Going to the school was like almost going to like a juvenile detention center.
Yes.
It was like we're like walking through like the prison yard. Like it was sketch. So,
and this is what year is this?
This is like 2004, 2003.
Yes. Yeah.
So I got to the point where I was like, this isn't for me. Like, I can't do this.
Right.
This is not like, first of all, like I really wasn't like really connecting to the mechanical side once I got in there and actually had wrenches. But on top of it, I just the the vibe there was just not
Oh yeah.
for me. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like in this gray area, what I needed to do with my life. I was just like,
You're in a new town.
what do I do?
What do I do?
So a buddy of mine moved to town, Brian Raleigh. You know him. And he was my roommate for a little bit, and he ended up getting a job at Ride Now.
Yeah. In Longwood, right?
Yeah. He came in, I think he may have started in Orlando, but he came in from home. He told me about the job he got, and he comes home one day and he's like, dude, I made like $600 today. I'm like, what? Like in one day? He's like, yeah, I sold like 2 kids ATVs or whatever. I made like $600. I'm like, there's just no way. He's like, dude, this company Ride Now they're based out of Arizona. They came into Florida. They're buying all these stores.
Right.
They'll hire anybody, and they're like paying really good money. It's really good. A good time to be in the side. And I'm like, I've never worked in a metric store. Like I'm a Harley guy. And I just, I wasn't sure.
Say that is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm a parts guy.
Right.
Like I'm not. And he's like, you got to do sales. And I'm like, I'm not a salesman, man.
Right.
But I really am.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I realized that quickly when I went in there. They hired me on the spot.
Yeah.
Put me in sales.
Your GM was
immediately,
Joe, right?
Yeah. So immediately I crushed it. And then they're like, I mean, it wasn't even like 6 months. And they're like, let's throw you in the F&I office. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
We'll teach
you. Got this. We're going to train you.
Yeah.
So they put me in F&I. I start crushing in F&I.
Yeah.
And then that's actually where me and you kind of came into play, because we ended up hiring you to come in and do sales.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I wised up. I was getting pretty good, and
the place was crazy.
And the dealership was like the wild, wild west.
It was.
And at that time, there was a lot of stuff happening.
Yes.
A lot of
craziness going on.
Going on, and drugs in the dealership, and
yeah,
it was just party. It was party central.
It was party central, and I just so you know where I had came from, I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah,
when I walked in there, so I saw you were when I met you, you were focused. And you told me I'm going to be leaving. I'm like, wait, I just getting to know you.
Yeah.
And I dig it because you're like me. You were focused on the sale, not so much the partying aspect. I mean, I can party my ass off, but I wasn't looking. I was looking to make money. You know what I mean? That's why I went there. So I didn't mean to cut you off. But.
No. But so basically, I got going there. You came on board, and then I was like, I'm out. Like I've already put in resumes at other stores to be a F&I manager somewhere else and get into a little bit more of a professional, long-term position.
Right.
So I ended up going to a Suzuki dealer, and I just spent the next, like 7-8 years there, just like, finance manager, sales manager, general manager, running the store, taking it from, and at the same time, the housing crisis happened.
Yes. Yeah.
So we were at
we were in trouble.
It was really tough times.
Yes.
And I was able to help carry that store through those tough times and keep it afloat.
Right.
And to the point where I built a reputation for myself.
Correct.
And met some connected individuals that were able to put me in touch with some buying opportunity to buy up my own store.
Right.
And eventually I got connected with Rock Northey, who's my business partner
He's
today.
amazing.
And he's like a mentor to me. He's changed my life.
Yes.
But he basically brought me in as a partner and put in a lot of investment. He was my principal investor in the beginning and got just me up off the ground.
Touch a lot. Really good.
So we opened that store in Longwood, or we bought a store in Longwood that was going.
Which is the original place. We worked that together. Yeah. Which is really cool.
It was like a full circle story. So we ended up, we seen a lot of opportunity in Sanford, and Rock wanted to invest in that side of town and build a store and kind of take the dealership to the next level, add more brands, make it more premium. And I had a big vision for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we just collaborated on an amazing level. Yeah. And we built the Sanford store today. And, Rock is he's retiring and getting out. So he's
he's made his mark.
He's made his mark in the industry. He's like, I call him the godfather.
Yeah, he really is.
He's made a major impact on me and this business, but he's thrown the keys over to me and
congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm going to see what I can do to elevate it and take it to the next level. So that's kind of been happening over the past few years. as he's winding down and I'm moving up. But so that's my origin story.
Right.
Man.
So you end up closing. Well, not closing, but you build Sanford, which was the smartest move you ever did because everybody always focuses on Orlando, and Orlando is so like oversaturated with junk. So you guys coming here and taking that chance to move it to somewhere that people don't even know. If you are on I-4 and you sneeze, you pass Sanford. And it's a true statement. Like I moved up here from Miami, and we'll talk about mine in a minute. But I've had times where my wife is like, "Oh, check it out. There was whatever in Sanford." I go, "Where was Sanford?" You know what I mean? Right. I've been here maybe before I started working here, maybe twice.
Right. So it was a lateral move for us. We had the Longwood store. Yeah. We built that up. We outgrew it, and we decided we wanted to level up. So we built the Sanford store to relocate that business to Sanford. Yeah. And we did a lot of, research on Sanford. There's a lot of just opportunity here and growth and development and the people and
it's changed.
It's really there's kind of a renaissance happening in their downtown community where they're really trying to invest there and make it a historical, cool downtown.
And it's got a good vibe.
Yeah. Unique restaurants, everything you can imagine, coffee shops. And it's just a really cool place to come down and visit and come down, take your wife to dinner, come, hang out.
Yeah. And you feel comfortable. You don't feel like you're in downtown Orlando where you're like watching your back or, you know what I mean? It's really a neat place. And and I commend you guys for doing that because most people wouldn't have took that chance. Like even with the big store that came first, and then you had the Harley store over there. They were that's everybody knew about Sanford, to be honest. You got a failing mall and all of a sudden Sky Power Sports with Ducati Sanford, you know what I mean? Just pops up. And which to me is really cool because I think you brought more energy into Sanford. Like we're bringing more people in. You're bringing people that would normally never know what Sanford is into Sanford. Not only are they buying stuff at the store, but they're like, hey, where do I go eat? So we send them to downtown Sanford. So I think that's cool. I think that's something that it needed. And I think most people won't, they have to go with the norm. Oh, we have to put it here because a manufacturer wants it. Or, I think I can make more money there if I put it in Orlando, and it's weird because
it wasn't easy.
No.
And, as we get moving on here at the podcast, I'll tell you more about, how the Ducati thing happened.
Because I want to know.
But I want to hear about your origin story. You heard about mine. I talked way too long.
No, it's okay.
Like yours is like.
No, mine's weird.
Just as.
Yeah,
amazing.
Mine's weird. I grew up in Miami. Just growing up BMX racing and skating, and my life was all about BMX. Got into freestyle, and then of course you get your driver's license and you get a car, and you no longer start riding bicycles. So I got into building show trucks and stuff like that. And Miami was very toxic where I grew up, and I grew up first in a place called Cutler Ridge, and then my parents got divorced, and we ended up in Homestead, right? So it was either. I was really thinking about it. And what happened was Hurricane Andrew kind of changed my mind immediately. So we went through Hurricane Andrew, and a week before that, I had come up to see my uncle. And he's like, what are you doing with your life? And I go, I'm digging ditches. I was literally doing irrigation for a guy that used to curse at us all day long, right? So I go, I don't know. And then he goes, while you're up here, he makes me put on a shirt that's too big and a tie that's really long because my uncle's very tall. And he takes me over to casting and fill out application, blah, blah, blah. I leave. I go back to Miami. Hurricane Andrew happens. We finally get power back. I get the phone rings. And they said, hey, we've been holding this job for you. And I'm like, really? So I said, all right, what the heck? It's not that far from Miami. I'll go to Orlando. I've never been there. Never stayed. I came up and visited. So I come up. Needless to say, I get the job with Disney. I worked for Disney for 7 years as an audio technician. Has nothing to do with motorcycles. I've always ridden motorcycles my whole life, dirt bikes. My parents hated motorcycles, back then. Everybody, motorcycles suck. So I'm working at Disney World and working in the audiovisual, making a name for myself there. And I make enough money to buy my first motorcycle, right? And actually, my wife helped me before she was my wife. She helped me save up money and stuff like that. And I meet a dude out riding, and he's larger than life. His name was Mike Hayes. He still is Mike Hayes. And he's like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, audiovisual. He goes, you ever done sales? And I'm like, no, I'm not a salesperson. Right. So he goes, well, that's kind of what we're looking for. You know what I mean? You love motorcycles. You're you have this thing about you. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. So I said, all right. So I put a suit, literally, because where I come from, when you go for an interview, you dress nice, right? So I put, a tie on and a shirt, and I walk in and I speak to this dude named Alan. And I'm nervous. I'm like, I've never done sales. I love motorcycles. I know a little bit about them, but I've never done sales. So he ends up saying, all right, you're hired. He goes, but don't ever come in here with a tie on again. And I'm like, really? All right, cool. So I work for it. Talk about a small world. Ed, who was in sales, moves into a manager's position. First day I'm there, he's training me. You don't know about this. So we start talking. He's like, where are you from? And I go, I'm from, so you probably don't know. It's Cutler Ridge, Homestead. He goes, what? And I go, yeah, because my wife's from Cutler Ridge. And I go, stop. Yeah. And he goes, no, for real. And I go, okay. And I go, what was her name? Or what's her name? And he goes, Alex. And I go, wait, what? And he goes, well, you would know her. He says his last name. He goes, you would know her as, Lopez, right? And I go, oh my God. And he goes, I was in love with your wife. And he looks at me and he goes, did you do my wife? And I go, no, man, I wanted to. We were young. And I go, no, but I wanted to. So he calls her.
No, but did you really?
No, I wanted to so bad. I wanted to. So she was beautiful. And she still is. And he calls her and she's like, oh my God. It was like that just, love in school, right? So he takes me under his wing and he says, David, you could be a douchebag sales guy. The, script style and or you can treat people the way you want to be treated when you walk into a place. And I thought about that. And so he trained me for about a couple hours and he goes, go talk to this guy. I remember the guys. Do you remember the first person you ever sold a motorcycle
Yes.
to? I do too. I remember his exact name. I remember the bike. I remember everything, right? And all he told me to do was talk to the guy. Talk to the guy, see what the guy's interest is, see what he likes, see if the bike's right for him, and he'll buy it from you. And I go, there's no way it's that easy. So I just acted like a friend and got to know him. He buys the bike from me. My first time ever talking to a person, about motorcycles. And I went, oh my gosh, I kind of like this,
Yeah.
So he showed me more and more of how to be a good person. Don't be that normal used car sales style, you know, but ask for the sale. Don't be afraid to say, hey, buy the bike from me. What can I do to get you to buy the bike, right? So I stay there for a while. I get into road racing. I start having really, really a lot of fun road racing. And at the time, Mr. Weber, who owns Orlando Yamaha, he sponsored us. He paid for our races, me, Scott Cunningham, and a guy named Keith Jones. So I'm in heaven. I'm making money, right? I'm having fun, and I'm racing motorcycles. And some changes happened there. And my buddy Ed decided to move to Tennessee. And the vibe changed in there. So I end up going with Lampy over at Kissimmee Motorsports. And he's getting into racing. So I'm pushing him and we're both getting into it. And just really a far drive for me in Kissimmee. So I end up even going to Harley Davidson. I worked at Harley for a year, which a lot of people don't know.
Wow.
And I meet Raleigh with you guys, right? With you guys. Yeah. So we start riding around. Well, I leave Harley and I go to you guys, right? And this chaos place happens, and I kind of love organized chaos and stuff like that. So I work with you for a short time. You leave, and I'm like, damn, you leaving is what made me step back and look, because I was like, all these dudes are just partying and going crazy, but I don't see my structure. Even though I'm a wild person, I still have structure. I still have, I want to sell a motorcycle or a unit, whatever it is. I want to have somebody have a great experience, right? And I didn't feel like I could get that there. You know what I mean? I felt like there wasn't a lot of structure there. It was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. And listen, Brian Rowley taught me so much about the paperwork part of it, the how to talk to people, how to make them feel comfortable. When you sit down with a piece of paper and you're at this deal, and they look at you like, and you got to peel them off the roof, because nobody understands when you look at an ad on a paper or on a website, on the internet, and it says the price is $11,995. They think that is your out the door price. And unfortunately, it's not. You still have taxes. You still have all these things. So he taught me how to kind of explain that to people. Overcome objections, right? So I end up leaving there. And this is when that housing market happens, right? Orlando's dead. The motorcycle industry, there's really not a lot going on. I'm trying different places. Nothing's working. Raleigh leaves and goes to Chicago, right? And he's working at the largest dealership I've ever seen in my entire life. He's calling me dude, there's nothing going on down there. Come up here. I'm like, dude, I can't even afford a flight. He goes, I'll pay for your flight. Just come up. I go, for real? I said, all right, I'll do that. So I left my family for 3 weeks out of the month, and I would come home for a week. I walked into this place. There's 25 sales guys. You can't see them. There's nobody around. The place is so big. So my first month there, I sold 50 bikes. And it was insane. I had so much fun. So they start now paying for my flight to go back and forth because I'm missing my family. You know what I mean? And living with Raleigh, it is either a party all the time or it's a party all the time. There's no in between, right? So I'm older.
Shout out to Raleigh.
Yeah, shout out to Raleigh, bro. I'm older, so I can't party all the time like he did. You know what I mean? So I finally go, man, I got to go back home. I can't do this. We're working till 10 o'clock at night from 10 to 10 on Sundays too. It's wearing me out, but I'm making my money so I can take care of my family, right? So I come back, I get out of the industry. I literally start working on airplanes because the industry's still really not good.
Yeah.
Alex, who I meet in a bar fight in Chicago, no joke. I meet him in a bar fight in Chicago. Some guy's trying to jump him and his wife. And I'm like, I'm not going to let this happen. So I push through them and I turn around. I go, well, if you're going to fight him and this girl, I don't even know who she is, but he had a Chicago Psycho shirt on and I'm wearing the same thing. And I've had like 10 shots and a bunch of drinks. And I go, I don't know who you guys are, but you ain't going to jump this man by himself with his girl. So let's go.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and smiles and goes, all right, let's go. And these guys just go away. They're like, you guys are crazy, whatever. I'm like, you're going to jump a guy and his girl. We became close.
Yeah.
So he moves down to Orlando, works at a place called BMW Orlando on OBT, right? It was a skateboard shop with the ugliest bikes I ever seen in my entire life at this time because they were still that older 3, 4,
BMW
5
is really...
They've changed.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, that S1000 is what got me back into the market.
Yeah.
Or get back into sales because that bike changed everything. And then, Ducati was coming up with their stuff and all these guys are coming up with theirs. So I worked for him there, end up working for that dealership. We grow so fast that we move into a bigger dealership on, John Young?
Mm-hmm.
And then I end up going back to my original origins, which is Orlando, right? Working there. You hire Alex.
Yep.
And at Longwood, he tells you guys are open for a year at that point?
Yeah. So we had been open for a year.
Yeah.
The Ducati Sanford was open for a year.
Oh, this guy was, how long? So you guys started the whole thing, but you didn't start Ducati for how long?
Ducati came on I think 6 or 7 months after the original opening.
Oh.
So there was a bunch of things with Ducati. I had to a lot of hoops I had to jump through.
Oh, yeah.
To get that going. So, I guess are you?
Yeah, because basically what I was saying is Alex tells you, hey, you should talk to David, right? And Alex is telling me, call Nate. And I'm like, when you sit somewhere and you've been doing this so long, you have a lot of clientele. So I really didn't have to get up very much.
Yeah.
I had a lot of sales there and people liked me over there. So I was bored with life though.
Yeah.
I was in sales. I was kind of bored. I was whatever. And that opportunity came up where you and I spoke and I came in. So that's pretty much where I am now. I became the janitor at Ducati Sanford. No, I mean the sales manager. So, but
no, I'm the janitor based on what happened last week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get into that.
We'll tell that on another podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh my God, that just made me laugh.
Yeah. So I brought you on in what year was that? 2019.
2019.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you were open 18, right?
Right.
18,
so with Ducati, so we had opened where we were opening Sky Power Sports Sanford.
Yeah.
We were a multi-line. We had all these other brands. And I really love Ducati. That is my brand, man.
Yes.
I just, it's always had a deep, it's in my heart.
Everybody.
I just love the brand and I always have. And I've owned Ducatis, it's just amazing brand, but they've had their issues over the years, but it's always been a dream of mine to have that brand. So as we're opening up the Sanford location, I was reaching out to Ducati, and because we had the space, we had a beautiful facility, we had everything was
Orlando
falling
was
into place.
Crumbling.
Yes,
Yep.
No, they had already been gone.
They were gone.
Ducati literally didn't have a point in Orlando or Daytona, and so I'm just having a hard time getting through to them
Because of the location?
they just weren't really responsive to me in the beginning.
Really?
You know?
Okay.
And I think there was a changeover in the reps.
Okay.
Like the regional managers or whatever. There was some type of changeover,
Right.
and I just couldn't get through. Well, eventually I got through to the new rep, which is, Ryan Niles.
Yeah, right.
And he was responsive to me, and he was like, he wanted to like meet me and hear my story and hear a business plan. And he actually gave me the benefit of the doubt. So he came in and met with me, and he said, dude, like, and he's from Michigan.
Yes.
I'm from Michigan. Like we connected.
My grandparents live in Michigan too, before they passed.
And he was like, dude, I really like you. Like there's something about you. You have
The
like
business plan.
you have what it takes to do this and do this right.
Yeah.
He's like, the only issue is Ducati's never going to do it because they want to be in downtown Orlando.
Mm.
And there's no way around it. Upper management's like, just put their foot down on it.
Really?
So I was like, okay, man, but you guys really got to reconsider it. So I kind of let it go.
Yeah.
And I just kept kind of tickling them, sending them emails and texts and notes and like, hey man, I'm here. We're building this store.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we got to do. So I got to the point where Ryan was like, well, let me, one of our higher managers is going to, I can't remember. I think his name's Jay, is going to fly in. He wants to meet you too. We're going to go out for lunch, and he wants to hear your story. So take him out to lunch, and same thing. They're like, dude, we love you, but you got to be in downtown Orlando. I'm like, I cannot put a store in downtown Orlando. I'm already under construction.
Yeah, you're building
in
a place.
Sanford. I'm building a store. It's either you get in Sanford or we're just not going to be able to do business. And I just kept pushing it and pushing it. And it got to the point, dude, I wrote a letter to the CEO, Jason Chinook of Ducati North America. I wrote a personal letter to him and sent it to him, and just telling my story again and what my plans are and my goals and what I want to do, what I can do with this store if we put it in Sanford. And it's funny, Ryan calls me, he says, hey, did you send a letter to the CEO? And I said, yeah, I did. He's like, well, he's calling me and he thinks that I put you up to it.
Oh, wow. Really?
I'm like, no, man.
No.
Like, that's
I just want this bad.
I want this. So then the CEO flew in and met me at the store while it was under construction. Yeah. We went out to coffee and I just went over everything. And just after connecting in person, he was just like, you know what? We're going to do this, man.
They're going to take a chance.
We're going to give you the Orlando Daytona market. And the only caveat is that we have to make this an exclusive Ducati dealership,
right?
Which is going to require you to do some things that are a little out of tradition from a multi-line power sports dealership. So, I had to build basically a store within a store.
In a store, yes, correct.
So when you come to our store, you see Ducati separate.
Yeah.
They have their own entrance. They have their own service department. They have their own staff. It's a separate store. And so that's how we did it, which is very different from other dealerships out there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
everything's
I was
bunched together.
Right. So I was able to meet their needs and build, and as far as branding and marketing and everything needed to be separate. So we are Ducati Sanford. It's not Sky Power Sports, it's Ducati Sanford.
Right,
so
right.
I basically was able to check all the boxes for them and launch this store. And they were like, this is, you're killing it.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing a really good job. This is working. And so this is before you.
Yeah.
Janie was kind of running things, and she had Jimmy Z in there, and they were doing a fantastic job. And I got connected with you. Yeah. And I was like, David would be such a good fit and kind of allow us to elevate and take things to the next level. Yeah. So Janie was open to, like, she was very flexible, and she was like, why don't I go to F&I? And, you can put David in there and let's see where it goes. And so we did that.
Yeah.
And that's when things just kind of kept
like going up.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We really got an amazing thing going.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Well, and the reason why though is because when you and I sat down, I told you, I go, if I do this, I don't want to be like every other store, just like we're here right now. I said, if we're going to do a podcast, our origin one, this is probably not going to be your favorite one, but hopefully it is. But I want to do it different. You have a vision on the way you do things, and we have very similar thoughts. Yours is over here a little bit, but we always end up in the same area, right? So I said, if we do this, you got to let me do it my way. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, right? the only thing I wanted is just like we talk about like gun shops and stuff like that. You go in, you never feel comfortable. The guy's standing behind the counter. What do you want? Right. And I always thought about that. And it always goes back to what my buddy Ed taught me. Treat them like you want to be treated. Right. If you make people feel like it's not a transaction, you're being a part of something, they're going to come back. They're going to tell their friends. I know you can't make everybody happy, but you allowed me to come in and you taught me, look, this is how you have to do these things, which I'd never been a manager. I was a floor manager, stuff like that. But I was always kind of afraid to do that because there's so much work involved and so much a headache and you know what I mean? But Ducati was rising and I could see that. Just like when I went to BMW, that S1000 had just come out. Nobody knew about it. And I said, this is going to change everything, right? When Ducati came out with their new stuff and started changing everything, I'm like, man, I want to be a part of that. And you gave me that chance, right? So you took a shot on me doing what I wanted to do, which is we're going to sell motorcycles. You know, we're going to make profit. We're going to do all those things. But that's not what it's about for me. It really isn't. It's about somebody coming in that has had the worst experiences at dealerships, or they walked into it and nobody spoke to them, or they hounded them, or stuff like that. I know in sales, it's do or die. I've never treated it that way, and I never will, but we've always been successful. We became successful. And you've done things and allowed me, you've trusted me to take your store and say, well, I'm going to treat it like mine. And I'm going to do it the way I want to do, which is I'm going to put people in there. We started with a few different sales guys. We tried a few different ones. We brought Oscar in. Oscar did really good and he learned. And I never wanted sales guys, right? I want guys that are good people that can talk to people and I can teach them the little fundamentals about, you know, the sales part of it, right? And Oscar had kind of that good face and funny and stuff like that. And people really liked him. Unfortunately, he decided, you know, to go off and do cigars, which is kind of where I got him from. And so what I did for him and what we did for him was elevate his life because he went from something not really doing well to doing really well to now having a new family and doing very well. And I'm proud of him. And, you know, at first I was upset that he left. And I know you were too, because we both kind of dug him. We went to the Rock M concert, you know what I mean? And had a lot of fun. And it's always been that cool vibe on our side. You know what I mean? And I say our side and I hate that. But it is. It's the store is divided no matter what you say. You know, no matter we don't want it, but it is. There's a different vibe
when you
walk
stores,
into when you walk into our side versus the other side, you still get a great vibe over there. It's very cool. There's a lot of product over there, and there's a lot. It's very overwhelming when you walk in there. And that always worried me about that. But the way you put it together, it's not overwhelming. It's very welcoming on that side. And that's what I wanted to do on our side was that whole comfort, because you're buying the most expensive motorcycles you can buy, right? So whether you saved up your whole life for it or you're very wealthy, which when we get to our customers coming in, you're going to see the guys that have had hard times to the good times, you know, all those things, from the guy who saves up all his money to the guy who could walk in and stroke a check for the most expensive bikes, right? And they all feel the same there. And that's what I like. And I always thank you for that, because you gave me that. You told me, hey, let's see how this works. And I know you watched. You sat there like, all right, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
So my philosophy has been, and I learned this from my mentor and partner, Rock Northey.
He's amazing.
Two heads are always better than one. And it's so simple. But when two people can get together and collaborate in a productive way, you're going to get so much better outcomes. It's like, it's such a simple thing, but you got to give, you know, I've learned that you really got to give your people autonomy to be able to make changes and do things and try things. And, you know, you're going to fail sometimes, but that's when you learn from failure, right? So when me and you get together and we talk about ideas, like, you know, it's kind of like we're hitting the ball back and forth.
Just trying
and we're trying to just try new things. And sometimes things don't work. And sometimes, in most cases, they do work. Because we just have that collaborative, you know,
I'm not afraid, and you're not afraid. You know what I'm saying? You want to try something that's kind of off, and I'm like, I kind of dig that because nobody else is doing it. You know what I mean? So I always respect that with you. That was from the first time I ever met you. You were always kind of different, like me. You know, we walked in, we were with all these kids, but you and I were kind of off to the side, trying to make money and trying to give somebody a good experience. And that's what you did here, is you brought that in and you tried different things. You're not afraid to try it. Some people don't accept that. You know that. You'll say something in the manager's meeting and they all go, oh God, great. You know what I mean? Because they're all focused on their sales and their stuff like that. To me, I listen to it and I learn from it and I go, all right, let me see if I can try that. And some things work, some things don't.
Right.
So
right.
I dig it. And we have something special coming up, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the rise to number one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how did that, so from us opening that dealership in late 2019 and, you know, within 5 years of being open, we're able to become the number one dealership in North and South America for Ducati for 2023. And that's just like something that I remember. I go to Italy for the conferences and you went to one as well. Yeah. And you watch those dealerships walk up on the stage and get that award.
This thing here.
That thing right there. And it's such like
an honor.
And it's such an amazing opportunity. And it's so much effort and hard work to get to that. And I remember watching those dealerships walk up on that stage and just like, I just knew that I was going to be there and that I could get there. I knew it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure how fast we could get there.
Right.
I like to go fast. I like to win.
I'm the same. So when I first came in, you were in Italy.
Right.
Remember, you were at the conference when I first walked in the door.
Right.
So
right. And it's not, there's a lot of heavy hitters in this industry, and it's like a lot of the same guys winning it over and over again. And you know, what is Sanford? No one knew Ducati Sanford. No one knew
at all
who we were, what we were. And I was like, you know what, we're gonna make a name for ourselves.
Yes.
And I couldn't have done that without your work, your effort, the team you've built.
That, yeah.
And I mean, it's a lot of this. I mean, sure. We hit the ground running from the beginning.
Yeah.
But we're just constantly enhancing
and trying
what we're doing,
stuff,
trying new things. And I think what really kind of put us over was the focus on community, building a community around the dealership, a family, and just really working to build that DOC, the Ducati Official Club, and
working with the ladies and making them feel comfortable.
The female riders, and just really just going outside the box, you know, looking at our social media. How can we go above and beyond in our social media efforts? What can we do? And you know what? The cool thing about the Ducati Award, it's not about how many motorcycles you're selling. No. And a lot of people out there don't know that it's not based on how many bikes you sell and how much
revenue.
It's not based on that. Basically what they do is they look at a dealership from all aspects, from sales, parts, service, accessories, marketing, just the overall vibe they get. Because believe it or not, a lot of these like Ducati executives, high level people in that company from the Italy side and in North America, they watch us. They look at all the dealerships.
Yeah, they watch everything.
They follow us. They keep an eye on things. And so basically they hand select a group of dealers, and then they kind of debate about it, and then they select who they feel is the best choice.
Yeah.
And they picked us.
Funny story. So when you sent me last year, which let me explain to you, what sucked is that they did, and I'm not going to lie, I feel some type of way about that. They did a digital conference this time, because when we found out we won, Nate and I, first words we say is we were going to walk through on that stage like gangsters. I was going to float across that stage. The reason why I'm telling you that is because when you sent me last year, I'm meeting all these amazing people from everywhere, all these big names from Spain, you know, all these Ducati dealerships that you're like, oh my God, that's California, you know, that's New York, that's, you know, all these places. And they're all meeting me and they're like, dude, you're cool. Where are you from? And I go, Ducati Sanford. And they go, where's that? And I go, you know where Orlando is? And they're like, or I go, you know where Disney World is? And they go, yeah, Orlando. And I go, we're about 45 minutes north of that. You're in Daytona? No, we're a little bit before that.
Yeah.
So they didn't even know. So it kind of goes back to that, you taking that chance to put it in this place of a place that nobody ever heard of.
Right.
And when you watch the live thing where the guy says, Ducati Sanford, you know what I mean? The people are like, wait, what did he just say?
Yeah, what was that?
What was that? And I get that to this day is like, people, you guys won? How did you win? Right. And it's not sales. It's the whole thing of that.
The whole picture.
The whole picture.
They look at everything from your customer service surveys.
Your surveys to your Google reviews.
Google reviews. I mean, they look at everything.
Yeah.
Your followers and you know how active you are on social media and what you're doing to stand out from competition.
Yeah.
So
and it was cool, man. Like when we found out, I think when they called us and we were all in there, and the fact that we got to get Janie in there and Jim, and we had we had the sales guys, both sales guys in there, Cody and Zion, and we had Brian, and we're both sitting there and we're on camera and we're looking at him and the way he's talking, I'm thinking, did Ryan just resign? Because he goes, it's been a long process, and and Nate and I have been working together. And I'm like, oh wow, he's resigning. This is really weird. You're thinking
he was playing it off.
Yeah, it's going to be an unveil or something of a bike they're going to show us, and I'm like, why would they show us a random bike? So I didn't even think about it. And then he says, well, we're going to let you know that you guys won the best dealership. So all I heard, to be honest, was North and South. So I thought we won the region. Yeah. Right. And then so I walked out. I was like, wow, that's cool. And everybody's congratulating me. You turned around, congratulate, give me a hug. I'm like, wow, it's cool. We won the region. And was it you or was it one of them goes, I go, that's cool. We won Southeast and Northeast region. And they go, no, dude, we won North and South America. I went, wait, what? Because when I was there, it was the big names. Like you said, it was.
Well, the cool thing is we're a big name now.
Yes.
We are a big name. God. We're coming for you.
Yes.
I said, let's do like a three-peat. Let's be like the Lakers or the Bulls.
No pressure.
We're like Jordan era Bulls.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna three-peat this thing.
Yeah,
right?
no.
So we're going after it.
Well, what's funny is when I told you that when we went there, and I always wanted it. You know that. I wore your ass out. I want to win. I want to win. Whether it's Southeast, I want to win. So from the time I walked in the door, we get our monthly thing where we're, for the Southeast, it's, South, West, North, all these, and I'm always in the top three. I always want to be number one. I know that sometimes we have good months, we have bad months, but we never stay off that top three every month, right? So I was always really proud of that, right?
Yeah.
And then I go to Italy, blah, blah, blah. I see all these guys win, and I look back and I go, I told you, I'll be honest. I don't think we're ever going to win that. I really don't, because they don't know who we are. And that's how I took from that, because every time I talk to somebody, they didn't know who Sanford is. Now they do.
Yeah.
But what I didn't do was go home and mope and frustrated. I just forgot about it. I said, let's just keep going. We'll go to the next step.
Yeah.
And we started doing social media.
So we hired a videographer to help us elevate our social media game, Christina Coffee. She is the best.
She's so cool.
Love working with her. She's just taking
She made us do this.
Yeah.
Because we tried one and it was okay. But
so she's amazing. We got involved with charity work in the community, with the DOC and working with children in need and
Advent Health.
We did the bicycle drive with Tony
and the sharing center.
Yes, the sharing center.
I apologize. The sharing center, Advent Health, the drive for
the school supply drive.
You changed that though. Just so you guys know, he went into a bank and he saw this little thing sitting over there, and he asked the people behind the counter, "Hey, what's this up for?" we have was it middle school?
Yeah, middle school, local middle school that's struggling. We're trying to get supplies together, and it was it wasn't the basket wasn't getting filled up.
Right, it wasn't getting filled up. And so he asked them, "Hey, do you mind if we help out?" And of course, they're probably like, "Yeah, whatever." How many people say that? But here comes Nate. And comes to our meeting and he says, "Hey guys, this is what we're going to do. And you guys have to stand behind it and do it." And of course, we're going to stand behind what he asked. And we fill up 2 side by sides full of really good stuff. We're not going to give somebody something that's cheap or anything, not because of who we are. It's because who we are. It's not because we're a Ducati dealership or a Sky Power. We did it because, we want to give something to somebody that's not going to, get destroyed or whatever. Yeah. So we all spend extra money just to do it and make them have
you don't want the kids
stuff.
Showing up with the crappy backpack and
but
stuff. Some of these kids are underprivileged or whatever, and they just if you're giving them junky stuff, that's not going to boost their future. That's their future. You're not going to boost their confidence. So buy the nice bag, buy the good pencils, buy the
don't be
erasers that don't smudge and.
We have good months, you have bad months, but let me tell you something. Every time you do that, it makes you feel good. And one of the things you don't know, when kids come in with their parents, half the time they come in, I buy them the little motorcycles. I do. Because you know why? The first time I ever walked into a motorcycle shop, I'll never forget it when I was a kid. And the way they treated me, and they gave me something, and I can't remember what it was, but they gave it to me and I held on to it for so long. They're our future. They're the ones that are going to want to buy bikes. Those are the ones going to do it. But little boys and little girls, when they get those little motorcycles that we have, the little toy bikes, toy bikes, and I give them to them, the parents freak out. Like, why are you, oh my God, thank you. Why? And I'm like, no, because, they're kids. You got to do that stuff, right? And I love that about that is because for $8, $9, I made this kid smile all day long and the parents come back. That's what was cool to me is
that's what sets us apart from other stores.
Yes.
Just little things like that, incremental things that
we should do in life.
Yeah.
Open the door for somebody. Don't talk about politics. You know what I mean? Just those things that we forgot about in life, and we do it in a motorcycle shop.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what I dig about it.
So let's talk about future plans.
Yes.
Like what do we got to number one. When you're on top of the mountain, dude, like they start coming after you.
Yeah.
So we want to, it is what it is. That's going to happen. But how do we elevate and just continue on in 2024 to set ourselves apart and continue to just like win, take care of customers on a whole other level, give that customer experience.
Yeah.
It's just, where are we going? What are we doing with this thing, Ducati?
The winning thing, sure, whatever. That's going to be a plus. But what we talked about, and one of the things I told you, I always dig about you is you're willing to step outside this box and go, well, let's try this. So we got this new thing doing what? We have this new thing that we're going to do, which is called the Race to 200, which will coincide with the Daytona 200 and all those things. But it's basically when you buy a bike from us starting January, February, there's going to be this new thing that we're going to do. And the new family members and our regular family members that buy so many bikes from us and return and repeats are going to be a part of this.
Right.
And at the end of the year, the Race to 200, which I'm going to let him explain, but at the end of the year, we're going to have a big party for everybody that came in and was participating and bought a bike from us.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about what you have.
So I came up with this idea where
he did it by himself.
Well, I told you the idea and you were like, I dig it. I love it. So anyway,
you really did.
I can't remember going back to 2019, but in 2020, let's say we sold 150 new Ducati motorcycles. And then 2021, we sold like 165 or 175. Yeah. So this year we're going to sell in that 170 range, I think.
Yeah, if we stay, but that's not what I want to do. I want to go higher.
Well, okay, we sell in that range. Just so you guys know, we're being transparent with how many new Ducatis we sell. We sell about 175 a year
in a place called Sanford.
And the market, there's a lot of opportunity in our market to sell more Ducatis. And you got to think there's other dealers selling into our market too. So we might be missing some sales here.
Yeah. And we sell into theirs.
At the end of the day, this is a 200 unit market minimum. So we feel we should be able to sell 200 bikes. So I'm like, how can we sell 200 next year? Set a goal, sell 200. Hopefully we sell more than that, but we want to set a goal, a minimum goal of selling 200. And how can we include our customers in that,
our family.
And our family,
our new family.
That. So I had an idea. Well, let's certify each bike we sell as one of 200, two of 200,
and they won't know what they're getting.
So we have a special. We had these special hologram, really cool certification stickers that we got, and they're numbered stickers. And we're going to, as each bike sells, you're going to get a number.
Yeah.
And we have 1 through 200. So it's going to start January 1st. And, that whoever buys the first bike of the year is going to be number 1.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to go throughout the year and you're going to have your select number. And then at the end of the year, we're just going to throw a kick-ass party for everybody for the 200 individuals that purchased from us in 2024. Yeah. So the stickers are really cool. They're
it's something different.
They look limited edition. So we're going to go through and do this certification process on each bike with the customer, and you're going to get your number. So we are super stoked.
Yeah,
to do this,
I'm really excited about it because nobody's done something like this, right? Yeah. When you really think about that, they only focus on, whatever sales. This is not just about the sale. This is about being a part of something. And you can put it on the bike if you'd like. I would hope they want to do that. But if they don't, they say, I'll put it in my paperwork or whatever like that. Yeah. As long as they're happy wherever it goes, I hope that they show it proud. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because my favorite thing is when I'm at somewhere or I talk to somebody, oh, I met Ducati Dave, or, I was talking to somebody that knew you and stuff like that, and they bought their bike from you, or they want to come and do this stuff. This is going to make it even more special. And I feel like an infomercial right now because it's kind of fun. But I really think that you thinking this was cool. Like,
well, what my thought was like, so you got a DOC meetup, like these guys are going for a ride and there's a group of 25 guys on Ducatis and they're hanging out and they're having coffee or whatever. And they're like, hey, so when did you get your bike? And he's like, oh, I just got it last month. Oh, cool. What number are you? So they'd be like, kind of like, it's kind of, it's not a competitive, it's not a competitive thing. It's just kind of like, oh, cool. You're in the club or whatever. You're people. So I found with Ducati, like with their limited edition bikes, and they love showing off their numbered bikes. It's so super cool. So I'm like, well, how can we do that? Like, it's not,
No, it's more fun.
It's a fun spin on having a numbered bike because everyone wants a numbered bike. Yes. So we're having fun with it. Yeah. Don't take it too seriously.
No, and disclaimer, you can't pick your number.
Yeah, and you cannot pick your number. So we have certain customers that are they're so into this number thing. Oh yeah. They want to pick their number, and unfortunately it's gonna come as it goes. So,
yes. So, yeah. And I hope you guys join us, and I hope you like what we're doing. I know this is kind of weird, and there's so many podcasts out there. And this is for you guys. Like, we're going to involve you guys. So I want you guys to ask questions when we post this stuff, if you want to be a part of it too. Because, we have a select people that we're going to start from here and start working on.
Yeah. So we'll always have a guest.
Yes. After this one.
This one. So this is just the kickoff.
Yes.
But we will have a guest. And we already got probably 6 or 7 solid people lined up that are going to be their
stories are amazing.
Very cool stories. Yeah. It's going to be a really fun,
and it'll be you, whichever one. Yeah. You guys are going to be a part of it. To.
So,
I can't wait.
Yeah, man. I am excited. It's going to be fun.
Dude, this has been cool.
Hell yeah.
You guys finally get to see our trophy we waited on. We're so proud of it. Thank you, Nate, for doing this and wanting to do this. Thank you for making me Ducati Dave. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be in this place right now. Thanks to the pod. Yeah. These guys are cool. They did this thing for us to make us feel a part of something. And I dig that. You know what I mean?
Super cool. So, but most importantly, subscribe.
Yes.
Get on our social channels. We're on TikTok now. We're on Instagram, probably most active on Instagram. Yeah. But we're on Facebook. Follow our social channels, get involved. Follow our Ducati official club has an Instagram as well. Those guys are doing amazing things with rides and charity and events.
Yes.
And then actually tomorrow night, this podcast might be
a little later. A little later.
But we're having a party tomorrow night for the award. It's at 73 Moto in downtown Sanford.
So thank all our family members for helping us.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Thank you for watching, and have a great day.
Rev up.
Rev up.